Maybe switch to the one that's a bit away.
Oh, okay, that's better. Whew, we are live. And it's wonderful to be live again on a Friday. It's great. It rocks around so fast. And today we couldn't get any birds in the cage, so it's just the two of us. And birds in the net. So we're going to talk about what we were doing this week, which is quite exciting. What were you doing this week, Lisa? What were you doing this week? To be honest, that was the really important bit.
Very fun. Well, we had great fun, Jill. We went over to the non-fungible conference in Lisbon, and I must say I was just overwhelmed and inspired. I still am. I'm like, how many NFTs can I make, and how many different ways can you be creative in 1 week? So yeah, we were at the non-fungible conference at the Carlos Lopez Pavilion in the center of Lisbon, which was just wonderful. Some amazing talks, people, in general, just a very inspiring place to be, and a very inspiring few days to motivate you to keep going as an artist or as a creator if you're on the NFT track. So yeah, how did you find it, Jill?
I loved it. I've been saying since I came back, and we were there 2 days, 2 packed days. But I'm just saying, it's like, I love blockchain conferences because they're different from your average, I've been, tech conferences or, industry conferences, business conferences. Blockchain ones are much more interesting. And then DeFi conferences are more interesting again. And then you go on to NFTs, and it's just blows your mind away because it's just so different again. And it's really, the atmosphere is nice. It's very friendly. Everybody mixes very well. There isn't really hierarchy, not at this stage anyway, on blockchain and DeFi, but it's very accessible. Everyone talks to everybody. People are very willing to share what they think. And actually, John Kang, who's the founder of the event, he started off with a lot of love. And he said to the group, the audience, who had minted an NFT a year ago or been involved, and there's very few hands. Who's in it now? Everybody put their hands up. And he said, that is the difference. That's the change that's happened in a year. Yeah. And it's not, what I like was, it wasn't so much like the Beatles of this world. It was ordinary folk, a lot of ordinary folk, and some very successful folk as well, but doing their own thing and making livings. And it was very inspiring. How did you find it?
I loved it. I mean, I loved every minute of it, but it was just, I suppose, like you said, it was a warm, friendly atmosphere. It felt like you were walking into a place that was welcoming, and there was no hierarchy. There was a mix of demographics from everyone from 18-year-olds to 70-year-olds. It was just everyone and everyone in between, and just all very much in the hope of learning. Learning about new NFTs, learning about collections, learning about security of NFTs through Ledger, learning about how to mint your first NFTs, learning the technicalities behind NFT marketplaces, how to build NFT marketplaces with Unique. I mean, it was just very inclusive and educational and informative. That's what I would say. That's my way of summing up my few days.
No, I think you're right, because there were some really nice talks by people who were talking about issues. There was an activist there, I forget her name now, but she's also connected with World of Women, and she herself had been forced into, when she was a child, female genital mutilation. So she was talking, when she became an adult, when she realized what had happened to her, she became an activist, and she was talking about stuff that she was doing very like encompassing, not techie at all. And then we actually stumbled by mistake into one workshop where they started showing lines of code up on the screen. This is a bit technical for us. It was Rust or Python or something. And there was all other languages. There were Rust-esque languages and Python-esque languages, but weren't quite. I went, okay, this is nice. I think we snuck out at that point because we said, we're not really learning stuff here now. We're just getting confused. They were very nice people, though. But it was nice. And there was also, there was a... a gallery upstairs too of some famous people. John Norlander had one of his pieces there, and so did Paris Hilton. There were other names too as well, big names that I can't quite remember now. But it was interesting stuff. You'd walk up and you go, "This is art. This is not." People sometimes think that it's just like pictures, like graphic artists doing stuff, whatever. And that's part of it too as well. There is a lot of graphic-y feel to some of the NFT art. But there was some stuff that was like, wow. And you really like the architectural art. That's your thing.
I love the architectural art. But what I really liked about this one, like the main art, as you walk into the gallery, there was an exhibition and an artwork that was done by a collaborative artwork by 38 artists, and that was Mariupol. And it just really, it brought you in and said, this is happening. And this is how artists can raise awareness about what is happening on the ground in the Ukraine. So that was really powerful. And I loved that as you just walked into the main gallery. And then on the right, you had Art Pool. And they had beautiful artwork, moving artwork, animated 3D art. And I really enjoyed that as well. And of course, Pauline is amazing there. She's really pushing the art scene in terms of creation. A lot of creators, actually, Jill.
Yes.
Giselle is a creator as well. The girl from Verse.
She's also an artist herself as well.
She's also an artist. But and then our friend Domblin from Object, the Tezos platform. She's a creator as well. And she had a lovely story when I spoke to Omblin. She said when she was going for the job, she had been creating already on her Twitter account. So she was a creator and wasn't being paid for it, didn't know she was even doing it really. She just automatically wanted to give a voice to artists that weren't being heard, or give a platform to artists that weren't being heard. So she would go to different platforms and pick out NFTs from different artists, and every day she would post 5. So these are the top 5 today, top 5 NFTs today, top 5 NFTs, and all the time very different, and all the time not the ones that you would find on the homepage of the popular platforms. So, and when she was going for a job at Object, they recognized that in her, and it wasn't a home skill. She didn't have a background in it, although her family are sculptors.
Actually, her family are involved, aren't they, in art too? So maybe give her an eye. Yeah, no, I thought she was a very gentle person, very kind person, and very caring. And that's kind of nice too as well, because sometimes you think like, with the NFTs, and they were sweeping the floor and we're flipping them. And there's I'm in a couple of WhatsApp groups and going, I'm not quite sure what's happening here, but it's not housework, that's for sure. In a whole new language. Whereas I thought she was lovely. She's just very gentle, and she kind of chose what she liked. Supported them. And then we saw Kevin Abosh. He was involved. He had one of his poems, the Verse project. Oh, my goodness.
Amazing.
We were very taken by that.
We were.
It was poetry, and then poetry is a form of art. And that's an interesting thing too as well, because also I think poetry lends itself more because it's kind of small, as in, no, you can get big long poems, of course, Canterbury Tales, whatever. But some poetry, a lot of modern poetry is very specific. It's more laconic, it's more Twitter-like. And that lends itself to putting words and pictures together. And there's collaborations. That's something I like too about the Verse. There was people who were writing poetry, and then you'd people then providing the audio or the visual to go with it. One girl had lots of footage that had been released of a lot of the nuclear trials that happened in the US. And apparently huge tranches of these videos were all destroyed, but some of them were unclassified and released. And she said, I have to preserve this. And she used that to one of the poems as well. It just went together. And it was just, do you know what I felt? Oh, sorry, did you know what I felt? I actually felt, because, and we discussed this too as well, I felt as if I was being much more creative. And sometimes you feel there's a divide between an artist and the creative community, and people who are like you and I are writers and poets, and we're artists too as well. But because we're kind of working in the commercial day-to-day, supporting our families and putting food on the table, sometimes we, I don't know, do you have to be a starving artist or a very successful artist to be an artist? I felt as though I was an artist there, even though I was only tinkering around the outsides on some of the other stuff that I'm doing.
Well, you are an artist, Jill. Jill's scan work has been selling at a rapid pace, so you are an artist. But and you're an amazing writer. But I think for me with the verse thing, I just felt like like you just said a minute ago, the collaborations were so fascinating, and so it made so much sense to collaborate. That you have a beautiful piece of written material in the form of a poem, and then you have artists who are creating the most incredible visuals, and then you're merging those two together. There's just lots of potential for that project in particular to see new life and to bring new life to poets. I was blown away, as you know.
Yeah, well, that excites me too as well, because you and I are more wordsmiths. We do a bit of art too as well. You do paint as well, but I like the idea of doing the words, which is my first love. And then mixing with that GAN stuff that you mentioned, thank you, the Becoming Jill, which I really like, on Art Mint.
Artmind. Artmind.
Okay. Sorry, Artmind. I like that because the GAN helps me produce contents, but I like the idea of being a wordsmith and then having somebody help me with, especially with my words. It's different if I'm doing something else, I'm painting something else. I like, well, collaboration's nice. You and I collaborate. It's much nicer working with someone than working by yourself all the time.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the times it produces better results. You know, there's some of the artwork that we see. We saw an amazing artwork. I don't think we're allowed to mention the AI platform that they're working with because it's in private beta testing. But we met a wonderful artist at the Sandbox Jungle Party, which we can speak about in a while. But she was amazing, and the detail of her artwork brought together with she's using a heartbeat in her artwork and brought together with an actual beat of music. It was powerful. It was really powerful. So you'd see the heartbeat of her bugs come out as the beat of the music came out. And I said, okay, well, that wouldn't get the same response in me, emotive response without the music. So you needed both. You needed it both to be powerful. But there was lots of collaborations going on.
It makes sense to be immersive. Like when you go and watch a film, for example, films are a form of art too as well. So you got images and speech and language and music. The silent films. How do they manage to make them so impressive? But anyway, but it's all your senses. If all your senses are engaged, it's more powerful. Or it can be more powerful. And why not? Because we live in this modern world of the metaverse and mixed media, so we can do it much more easily than previous. I remember years ago we were in Florida with my children when they were babies. And we went to this interactive studio. One of the interactions was that in the seat in front of you, when the wind came, it was a cartoon thing. Wind came out of there was a pipe in the seat. So wind physically came out. I was like, you got quite a shock. Oh my God, what's that? And then they had other spray bits. So they put in some mechanical pieces, which were, again, this is about 22 years ago. So it was quite a long time ago. So, but they were very innovative in that sense. That was kind of physical. But now obviously with VR and AR, you can do the immersive stuff. So it just opens doors, doesn't it? It makes it more interesting.
Yeah, and it was lovely. And another thing that I bringing on to another topic was Money Alata. They did a wonderful tribute panel to him, and that was one of the things that stood out to me.
Was it a lot of money or Money Alata?
Sorry, a lot of money. But
he'd like that if he was still alive.
Yeah, he would have loved it.
You've been clever with his name.
Oh, yeah. Doing it backwards. But I mean, for me, what was inspiring is that he had been doing wearables in Crypto Voxel's metaverse a few years ago before anyone knew what wearables were, right? So he's a visionary. But the community recognized that and held on to him, and wanted to pace that and bring him into the conference. Carlos, one of the Mexican artists there, NFT artist, he had a dedicated wall to him, and it was just lovely. Very community. We're all together. We're all in this. We're gonna hold on to each other, share each other, value each other. So that was the community spirit was definitely alive from the artist's point of view.
Yeah, I think we're very lucky because it's such a nascent industry anyway. I mean, from blockchain right through, obviously NFT is so new. People are so excited. I mean, there were one or two OGs who kind of acted like OGs, but most of the OGs there didn't act like OGs, and even like John Carrigan, the organizer, he said, you are all OGs because you're here now. That was kind of nice. So we're all OGs. And that's kind of nice because that's very inclusive. It's not like, oh, are you only in here this year or last month? Well, I was here 2 years ago. I'll have you know. There wasn't any element of that.
But some of the people that were saying, that we were speaking with then as well, the artists that we were speaking with were saying, well, I've been this over 8 months. As if it's been like 20 years. Well, I've been here since September. So I find that interesting because it is a month in the world of NFTs or the world of blockchain, the world of crypto is like a year. So you can say every month is like a year because you're learning so much so fast. It's the speed of innovation. It changes so often. And interesting enough, we were saying earlier to a client of ours that like the world of DAOs isn't there yet. So we haven't fully explored or immersed ourselves in the potential of DAOs. So that can't wait to go. Like next year is going to have DAOs, at the NFC.
And of course, we spent time with the lovely Sebastian Bourget from Sandbox. That again, that's the whole privilege. I mean, Sandbox has just taken off. We joke it's an overnight success. It's not. It's 10 years in the making, but it is so successful. All the brands coming in there. we don't even know what it's valued. He raised, what was it, 93 or 73 million in last year?
93 million.
93. So we're going to raise more. There's the value of the land, the secondary value of the sand token. It's now in the top 30 of cryptocurrencies. And he was very coy. He was asked, what's it worth? We don't have to discuss that. As a very polite. It's like saying, what's in your bank account? You know,
Billions.
But what's really nice about Sebastian is, again, accessibility.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? He was there. You could have stopped him. We were talking to him. We went to lunch then with his French brand company, whose name you're going to say.
Ariane.
Hard name to say. Lovely people, interesting. They're hand-holding brands into the metaverse, into the sandbox. And they announced their partnership. And we had a lovely lunch with them. But it was just the accessibility, which is so nice, I think, because when you go to a fintech conference, whatever, you don't get to meet with the CEO of Pepsi Cola and have lunch with them or something. You know, it just doesn't happen. It's not. And they talk to you about things and stuff, you know. And Sandbox is very, very interesting. It's a huge project, and well structured, and you know, going along the right way. Very, very smart people in there.
And I like the idea of going from centralized into progressive decentralization. So you have like an idea, a concept, and it's obviously Sebastian's vision, you know, and so bringing your vision to life in a certain way, because, you know, nobody else can bring your vision to life because it's only you that holds it in your head. And doing it with the right people and doing it with the right agents around you with the right skills, and then leaving it fly. And leaving it take off and leaving it get wings and you know, figuring out who's going to meet where in the sandbox and when and what events are going to go on there, and you know, how is it going to grow, and in different I think it's amazing.
He actually used the term, he reckons that Sandbox is like a teenager. He's got it so far, you know, and a teenager still needs typically the parents to bail them out and, you know, give them a roof over their head and pay for the food and stuff like that. But almost ready to fly, almost little bird ready to fly. So that's kind of cool. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And we went to Wow Records, went to a rave, bit of a rave.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
Last time I went to a rave, I ended up with COVID in London, so we won't talk about that. No COVID. Well, it wasn't.
Gillian, you need to stop going to raves. Gillian's always going to raves.
Picking up things. But we're kind of like, we weren't really, well, you were dancing in the metaverse. I was actually going, I'm too sober to dance. That old Irish thing. But yeah, that was interesting. You know,
it
just
was wonderful.
And just people were there again. Very interesting. Lord Tuffington, was that his name? No idea. He was in disguise, NFT trader from Italian man, based in Portugal.
A lot of collectors in the room. I think NFT collectors that you know had their bank of NFTs or whatever. But what was lovely about that is it was down to earth, wasn't it? It was very, you know, come as you go, come as you are, you know, hang around, don't hang around, and very focused on the music. So the DJing side of it, and it was, you know, there was big visuals and very, very hipster, very, very cool. Felt like you were cool in there. And then
I also liked on your panel, you had a lovely young man, Alex from
Solidity.io.
Thank you, .io. And we met other team members there too, as went back to the thing. All young guys.
His name was Anton, the other young guy.
Okay.
But they were just so
smart.
Lovely, weren't they?
And do you know what they were as well? Because when Alex was on stage, he was being challenged by another of your panel. And he responded in a way that was very, he took a deep breath and he went, he was mature beyond his years, and then went on with what he was saying. And in the end, he won over everybody because he was representing money. But his money was not the flip it and to the moon when Lambo. It was artists can make money. You know, I'm an investor, I'm going to invest in this, but I'm investing in the art. This art is making money. It's not just me making money. And in fact, in the old world, if he was like a Saatchi and Saatchi type, not against them, but you know, the galleries make a huge amount of money. But in this new world,
it's being shared.
So the money is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with money. It's only when it doesn't go to the creators, or it flows in the wrong way, or it's bottlenecked and people can't access it. That's when money becomes a thing that divides rather than share. You know, encourage people to share.
Exactly. And he was lovely, but like, he's also a 21-year-old incubator and investor. I mean, don't do anything to knock that spirit, please.
No,
you know,
he's financially successful at 21.
Absolutely, and his friends the same. You know, they have their apes and they have their there are other pieces that they mightn't be into fine art, but they're there to contribute, to be open, to have discussions. I think it's wonderful. Like, you can, is amazing and bright.
And then the amazing photographer, Justin from
Justin Aversano.
Oh, Aversano, thank you.
Very, very famous photographer.
Yeah.
I don't know if he know we're even talking about him now. We'll have to text him afterwards. Speaking about you on Blocks and Frocks, I think he sold the highest valued in photography NFT. I think it was 3.9 million for an NFT for a photograph.
Yeah, he was saying too as well, because we were speaking to him afterwards. We're going to interview him down the road, but also we were just chatting to him, and he was saying that it's community.
Yes,
it's built community, and then people can apply to come in, and there is a DAO thing. People vote. They do the self curation. They want, if you want the people to come in or not with their work. So there is a screening process, but it's more egalitarian. It's people who are in the community, as opposed to, I declare that art, I declare that not art. You know, it's kind of. He was very nice.
He was lovely,
interesting,
and very memorable. I said it when Nate was asking me how we got on, and I said, Crypto Slate Nate was asking how we got on, and I said, oh, very interesting people and lovely discussions and everything. And I mentioned Justin and Alex because they stood out. You know the way you have a few minutes to mention a few things, and they stood out as being very nice and warm and welcome to us. So that was, I thought that was interesting as well. Yeah, and the jungle party was just insane in terms of the sheer jungle-esque-ness of it. It really, really was visually beautiful, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. No, it was
really
amazing. And then there was something else I was going to say too. Ooh. It's just, I was about to say something before the jungle-esque party. Oh yes, we met two Brians, one Brienne and one Brian. And Brienne looked as Irish as you could look. And then he's from Brittany. So there's the Celtic spirit there. He happened to have very red hair.
And we couldn't understand, we were saying he's definitely Irish. Sure, his name is
Thurles. He's from Thurles.
His name is Brian. He's up there. He's red hair. Yeah. So he was lovely. Screenshot. That was his company.
Follow up with him because we're convinced he's totally Irish. And then the other
bringing him in,
Brian O'Hagan, we met, who does have an Irish father and a French mother.
Yes.
And on stage, I couldn't make out his accent, and he spoke to us. Sure, he was as Irish as they come.
Very Irish accent.
It's so rare. That's an amazing project too, as well.
That project has just taken wings as well. I think they have the sports backing. They have. I think Serena Williams is on their board, so they have some huge names attached to the project, which always helps. But also the concept is wonderful, and they focused, what Brian was saying in his speeches, that they're focused on having very easy access. So I think that is, as we keep on coming up, the UX, the user experience, and making it easy for the users is so important.
Yeah.
Because even us, Jill, we're doing things here, there, and everywhere, and if it takes longer than 2 or 3 steps to do it, you're gone.
Yeah, get bored.
You get bored.
I hope anyone listening to this will just hear was just so friendly and so many interesting people, a lot of diverse people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not a photography expert at all, but I need to go look at Justin's things now, his photography. But he was so welcoming. There's people here, we're meeting people that are giants in this space, and yet we met them as you meet someone at a party. Hi, how are you? What are you doing here? And that, I think, is anyone who wants to go to conference, go to NFT conferences. They're the best in the world.
They are, really they are. And they're just about learning and showing your creative side.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to showcase your creative side or learn about, other people's different creative sides, then NFT conferences are a great way to be inspired to do just that, really, aren't they?
Oh, we were buzzing. And we're just saying, we kept on saying one event was nicer than the next almost. It was just like, whoa, okay. Well, how can we top that? And at the very end, we went out for that quiet meal just because we were just exhausted. And a beautiful little restaurant, little off the side street. It wasn't, Portugal is lovely food anyway. And just nice, just chilled about, talk about things that we'd seen and people we'd met and what we're going to do next. I have a list as long as my arm. I don't know about you. People I must go back to and connect with and do stuff with. And
just so many people and so many interesting projects, so many people For me, what really stood out, I suppose, was the verse definitely as a project.
Oh, we both cried.
We both cried. It was just
It spoke to us. It spoke to us
you,
right here.
yeah, and you can feel that like it was Kevin Abbott and is it Karen?
Yeah, Callan, I think.
Woman, Colleen, I think. And she was lovely, and they
Giselle.
spoke so well, but they showed how poets and writers will now have a place. You know, they'll have a go-to place. It'll be curated, but they'll have
Well,
a
Giselle was saying she's an artist in her own right, and she also curated with the verse, and with Callan, I think I got her name right. I'll double check it. But she was saying her husband. I told her husband has been a poet, so she's been supporting the family through doing commercial photography and commercial art. Now she's her own artist in her own right, but her husband is
of the
starting to
poet.
share and show his poetry, and that's the. She said, he was not a commercial man. He never show his poetry. Now he is.
Yes, exactly. Give people a way of showcasing the best of themselves. That's kind
Yeah.
of where it works. So yeah, we'll definitely be
We can't
going
have
down
enough
there.
poetry in the world because people say, "Well, what's poetry?" And you need artists and poets to reframe and refresh and reflect back on the rest of society what's happening in the world. That's what you said about the Mariupol collaborative graphic NFT and the whole screen when the 38 artists came together to talk about how they felt. They did it in the last minute because Mariupol was only really in the last couple of weeks, and that artists are that's why we need artists and writers and creative people because they then reflect back to society. We're all too busy, like little busy bees. We ignore things. So the more poets we have, the more, and we come from the land of poetry anyway. I mean, like obviously with our Seamus Heaney's and our W.B. Yeats and everybody else, Kavanagh, but we sometimes society forgets that artists are really, really important, and it values them very badly, and only the very successful make a living of any kind. And I think we're at the start of a new world order where creators, we keep on doing that, creators can make their living through creation. And why not? Why do I have to
Why
be an
not?
accountant to be a
Exactly, exactly.
I'm not nothing
And
against accountants. My daughter's going to be what I think, but why one of those commercial jobs? Why not just an artist and you know
yeah,
I
I,
interviewed
lo-
somebody.
I love what you say, Jill, about accountancy. If you're a medium, what is it? Just an ordinary accountant, and not one that excels in their field, or not one that is like just an
Steady
okay,
Eddie.
a
Steady
steady
Eddie.
accountant. You can still make a living.
Yeah.
You can
Feed
put
your
money on
family.
the table. You can feed your family. You can pay your mortgage. You can buy land. You can do
Yeah.
whatever you want. If you're a medium artist, you're only okay. You're only thereabouts.
Yeah.
You don't have a chance in hell.
No.
So you have to be extremely good, and it's the same for musicians, it's the same for writers, it's the same for poets, it's the same for painters, it's the same for sculptors, actors. You have to be the best to get something. And why is that? There's no reason for that.
I
That's
think
something
the world is a
society
bit
made up.
strange. Why is somebody why is a business person rewarded for their skills than an artist? Nothing against business people. I'm commercial. I've done stuff. I own my own businesses. But why do they earn more than an artist? Why is that in our world? Why are we? But I think it's changing. I think
It is changing. It is changing, and
world.
I hope I hope it continue on the right trajectory, because I can see some of our old habits creeping into Web3, and I do worry about that a little bit. I talk to you about it all the time, but we need to put the creator first,
Yes.
really, and change the hierarchy, because we can't make everything equal initially. We need to change it completely and then kind of adjust it. Whereas now we're starting to bring some old habits are starting to creep in, and the process of decentralization is about not giving everything to the middleman. So I think we should all look at
Actually,
when we're doing stuff.
how we always talk about the middleman in decentralized world and Web3 and blockchain. I hate the middleman. The middleman, nothing wrong with the middleman per
No,
se.
nothing
And
wrong
he
with the
adds
middleman.
no value. I'm just using the masculine for simplicity, but they're just handing things over. That they're not adding any value. And again, those people earn their living being middlemen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, and we accept it. We accept they add no value. They just happen to be stuck in the middle. Whatever law, regulation, society, function, ecosystem sticks them in the middle, and they manage to scrape stuff here and there. And it's not I don't know. It's not questioned. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. And if it was questioned, those middle people might do might add more value on either side, might add more value as creatives, bringing out the more creative side of themselves, or if they have to be the structured, maybe they're founders, maybe they're entrepreneurs, so I think we need to assess.
Because I think there's also another option too as well. When they say with technology going on and singularity and all that sort of, is there a point where people will need to be educated to not work in the future? I mean, maybe there won't be jobs per se like we know them now in another 100 years. So if you're not going to work, what are you going to do? And why do we have to work? And that's kind of an industrial era notion that you have to work, and you work 9 to 5, and we used to work 6 days a week, whatever. But why? Isn't it interesting? Because maybe we could just do, become, and still have enough money to, or it's not even money, just enough funds to feed your family and stuff like that. I don't know. I'd love to come back in 100 years' time. Will they invent a time machine in time?
I know.
Floating around in the future, and I don't care about what's happening in the world because I'll be interested in spirit things. I don't know, whatever I end up doing, or we all end up doing, fighting the fires that blow.
But our next conference will be into the metaverse, so we'll be jumping into the metaverse. So we'll see how the future will live. But it's great to be asking these questions, and I think the going to conferences and meeting in real life, IRL, it forces you to ask these questions and meet interesting people that are working towards really amazing ambitions and goals and working on their art, and inspires you to kind of think differently, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I came away, we both of us came away because we're both, although we're commercial and we understand business and we like doing what we're doing, we're both at heart, we're artists. We've got to be our beating heart in here. If we were dropped in the moon, whatever, or dropped in another place, and we're given a frame and a painting and paints or whatever, I think we'd be very happy doing that and not running around doing strategic thinking, whatever. Just go, flower today. That's not strategic at all. That's going to be a flower. See?
And I was like, Jill, let's be strategic about something.
Oh, let's paint flowers together, quick. You do one half, put them together.
Oh, it's fun.
Dear Lord,
yeah.
Dear Lord.
So more NFT conferences, please. And
Yes.
thank you to the organizers as well. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, John. Yeah, that was amazing. We're definitely booking it next year. And actually, we're bringing a whole bunch of friends and family with us because we've been talking about it so much already. People saying people who want to sponsor it and everything. So that's fantastic because, in fairness, they need to be supported because these things are hard to do. It takes a lot of energy, creation, and everything to do this stuff. So
so much work. I just want to quick mention for Jen and Maximilian as well. They really are great organizers and looked after the media. It should be, for taking care of the event.
No, I must say I really
enjoyed working it.
It was brilliant. What can we say?
Okay.
We're going next year, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be there, whether you like it or not.
That's all our projects at that stage. That'll us we'll be talking. Don't know what we're doing. Anything. It'll be great. Anyway, what a great fun conversation today. Sometimes you don't need a bird in the nest. Just you and I catch up because we don't spend enough time together, do we?
You're sick of looking at my face.
Not at all. Always something new to talk about. Anyway, that was a great conversation and a great
lovely.
We're very privileged, aren't we, to be in this world and of this world. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll have one of our friends from the Bigger Pie on next week.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lisa, again.
Okay, thank you.